Hi, Taurus. TT here with another channel message. Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to our Love Nest over here on Talk Taurus Tarot if you're new. And if you're returning, welcome back, you guys. I'm super excited to channel these messages for you. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, this message is for all my traditional folks, people that don't really like change, institutionalized tradition. All of my Tauruses of high value, very conventional. When it comes to conformity, marriage, the principles of commitment, the beliefs and knowledge around these social groups, whatever it may be, those of you that are in the position of sharing knowledge, esoteric knowledge, wisdom, blending the two, if you are any of those, then this message might be for you. Look at me rhyming, y'all. I was in the flow. Can y'all see it? But someone's stealing from you. Someone is stealing from you. Something is exploiting. Okay, I'm getting exploiting energy. And I feel like this may be something that you watch on a Sunday. Okay, Spirit might have a channel message for all of my church folk out there. And I have every right to say this because my great-grandfather was a pastor, and he was a very devout Christian pastor. And my grandfather that besieged him was a very powerful teacher and leader. He blended the two in his own way. Whether conventional or not conventional, he still did what he had to do for whatever his spiritual calling was. And we do not judge over here on Talk Taurus Tarot. He's a Scorpio, by the way. So that's our sister sign. So maybe there's something that is all tying up here. Because, when I tell you my ancestors and my spirit guides lately, they've been really giving me the heavier messages. I will definitely say that. Okay. Powerful manifestors. What in the hell? Powerful manifestors. Okay, leaders, trailblazers, people with great affluence and status in the world. Those are being highly, what I said, alchemy, the sorcerer, the philosopher's stone. Yeah, wielding magic and ancient wisdom, especially in regards to the book. Okay, the great book that is highly highly encrypted and requires a lot of decoding and deciphering, and because the Bible is written in 10 different ways: metaphorically, figuratively, symbolically, allegorically. It goes on and on and on, but I digress. What I wanted to say to you, Taurus, is whatever this is, for some of you, this may show up in the form of a narrative, social media, okay? Because we're talking about 2023. By this point, a lot of these philosophies, or a lot of these relics or ancient wisdom, they're being shared right here. Like, how many of you really have to go to church now? Like, you can literally stream that shit live from the comfort of your bed. And there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm not judging it. But no matter where you are, even in spirituality, you want to decipher. You want to be able to decipher and discern for yourself. It says, study to show thyself approved, a workman that leadeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. If I said that wrong, please correct me in the comments. It's been a while. But nonetheless, it's like right in front of you. Right in front of you. What is this? What is this? It's like right in front of your eyes, but you can't see it, Taurus. You know what I'm saying? Right in front of your eyes. I'm also picking up this energy, like you and someone else, you come from two different worlds. One of you is very traditional, and the other person is more free-spirited. They don't really care for commitments or titles or all those other gnomes that they say that's considered normal. But you both are on this self-love journey. And if both of you are on this self-love journey, then how could you possibly have different practices or believe. This is giving me Romeo and Juliet type of energy. All right, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, you know? But every time you try, then a lot happens to come in the way of what you do. So both of your paths seem very different, but nonetheless, it's still spiritual. It's just what's being spiritually given. Like, what's the message? Because I feel like with social media, like Spirit's really bringing up social media in my Nephilim. What did I tell you? Okay, we got Nephilim. Okay. There is something about controversy. Come through, Spirit. Okay. There's a controversy that really is, assessing the perspectives, this new age, this new perspective around ancestry and honoring your ancestors, and that being something that they're trying to uproot out of the collective. Okay. And it has something to do with this being something to consider, especially for those of you that are extremely reserved or you play it very safe because you have those traditions or their doctrines here. But I don't know, I just can't help but wonder, like, look at this. There's just two different worlds, two different half houses. And we have artistic, okay, integrity, honesty. We have Syrians and Nephilim. Okay. This is very interesting. Reflection. So you both are spiritual, but you have different ancestors. But you care for each other. Caring connection here that I'm seeing here. Okay. But there's like this lone wolf energy where you guys are meant to walk a very separate path for a period of time. And this separate path is a self-love journey. Okay. This is like two of the same life path numbers trying to be together. This is like a Romeo and Juliet type of energy. The houses, the factions are different. One of you is more spiritual with chakras and Reiki and tarot and esoteric and all these different things. And the others is more concrete and dictatorial. Okay. There's a lot more controversy in this energy. Okay. Wanting new perspectives and change, and one wants healing and evolution and different things from a planetary perspective, but all still doing the same thing. But there's a controversy around which one is right and having an open mind and blending the two. But with ancestry in reverse, there's one thing's for certain and two things for sure. The both of you, one thing's for certain is that the both of you want each other. Okay. Two things that are for sure is that the both of you would have to denounce the support of your ancestry, your lineage. That's a denouncing process, right? The second, this could even be culture, right? Denouncing your culture, dishonoring your house, right? Your upbringing, your traditions, whatever it is. And then the other thing that's for sure is you both desire to change each other's mind. Whether you're aware of it or not, you both want the other person to have an open mind. This is literally like even from the perspective of two people of different races trying to be together. And I wonder if any of you guys have ever been in a biracial relationship. Is it difficult? Like, how difficult is it? I've never necessarily been, but would it cause a stir from your personal experience? Like, it just, the only thing that I've been able to see on social media is that it creates this uproar in people, and they just like, oh no, oh my God. And it's like, literally, it's 2023. What about this is so wrong? But there's, of course, the polar opposite, which is like watering down race and different things like that. Nevertheless, the question that I'm wondering here is it really a real thing from your own personal experiences where your ancestry, from your family perspective, your lineage, the spirit realm, do they still, because I get this vibe where like your ancestors on the other side are not in support of something, and for various reasons. It has a lot to do with the culture, the religion, or the belief system. Maybe they completely do not care for esoteric energy. They're more traditional, they're more solid, they believe in commitment. If you love this person, marry them, be with them long term, you stick to them no matter what. So there's a lot of different, just thinking about it, I get exhausted. Spirit, take the wheel. And I feel like here, when it comes to manifesting love, true love is through the reflection of loving yourself, right? So I feel like spirit is bouncing this back at you, or the both of you, like, you're gonna have to take care of your own needs. You're gonna have to learn how to care for each other, love each other, but take care of your own needs. You're gonna have to spend time alone, because a part of your path is to be able to do that. It's to be able to spend a lot of time alone. Because with mirrors here, this is reflections, and this reflections create a lot of triggers and a lot of lessons here. Even though you guys are willing to, you really care about each other and you love each other, and you want to do anything, I'll take care of you. I really want to be with you. I'll never leave you alone. I'll always be there. There is still something missing here. And it has something to do with the root chakra, your ancestry. For others of you, there's a need to stay connected to your ancestry, to tap into your ancestral abundance. But in order to be together, there's something about denouncing your inheritance from an ancestral standpoint, because there's this theory, and share your own perspectives in the comments. I would love to hear it. But there is this theory where before we incarnate into our bloodlines as descendants, we spend a lot of time already with the ancestors. Okay, so when that grandchild is born or that child is born, there's this natural cycle of process that happens where that child will spend a lot of time with the elderly, because they remember them from the spirit realm. So there's this theory, right? And that's all I have to go off of, where before you incarnate as descendants, right, you chose your ancestors, you spent time with them, you actually helped them from the spirit realm as descendants make certain decisions and prepare for certain aspects of their journey before incarnating here. So even though this love is here, right, there's a level of independence, or there's a level of your psychic abilities or your artistry that you're meant to really focus on and give your undivided attention on. You may very well be a mirror to someone. So, this is interesting. So I'm hearing like Binky, right? So you may have this ability where whatever's affecting another person, it mirrors on you. So where you're able to pinpoint and tell people exactly the truth about what's wrong with them, and give them this Syrian wisdom. Okay. And if you're someone that with that ability, you may emotionally trigger a lot of people because of the controversy you bring, the element that you bring to that level of consciousness, that level of perspective. So as much as they may not agree. Because you see here, if you notice in these two trees, I don't know if you guys can see it, but this person has literally like said, oh hell no, they have uprooted themselves and walked off here. Okay, now you have this tree here that's upside down. Okay, I have no family. I have no I have literally decided to take my family, go somewhere else, and never to return again. Okay. Now, there's someone that feels like they can never go back to their family due to loving you. Or they have no family to go back to because they chose to be with you. And you guys could be going through a lot of issues. Take care of your needs, right? Since winter, there may have been a lot of upheaval, and someone feels like something, like they feel robbed, they feel taken advantage of, they feel like they allowed themselves to believe a facade, they allow themselves to fall for this dream that turned out to be way harder than it ever was. If you're a newlywed, let's say you're a newlywed, right? And whatever the relationship was prior to getting married, this is also for someone out there that you got married, and then when you got married, you realized that you had a whole heap of ancestral karma to work through because you loved someone that literally has a lot of that karma. And I know from my own personal experience, incarnating into the house of African American, Black, whatever you want to call it, under that lineage, there is a lot of trauma. There is a lot of trauma in our males. There's a lot of trauma in our women, and these are the things that, as a culture, there are a lot of unresolved things, and there's a lot of controversy around where if you don't like it, just change. It's not as easy as someone might think to just change your trajectory of experiences, because we're talking about years and years, and we're talking about generations after generation after generation of trauma rooted so far in the ancestry, where a lot of our ancestors have made dedications and they have devoted their lives to healing this race, right? And taking turns and incarnating into these races as well, to take turns. Both supernatural beings as well have incarnated to do exactly that, because there is a disconnect to that connection, that cerebral connection, that mental stimulus has been disrupted. So there's an imbalance there. And in order to help them gain new perspective, a lot of times we have to remove them and let them experience different with other races and things like that, in order for them to be able to rebalance themselves and see another trajectory, giving them the opportunity to manifest a new reality. But if their subconscious mind came already with so much programming that was through trauma, until they meet someone that cares for them and loves them, and they're able to give them or reflect back to them goodness and compassion and sensitivity, a lot of times that culture, that race, or whatever you want to call it, tends to be at strife or at war. And it's difficult to really give each other what you need when you're healing your own trauma and trying to love yourself in the process. So what I see here is, the desire to reconnect and needing to see what that looks like, no matter how much you love each other, but to see it, what it looks like through other people's eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're living in the hood your whole life, you're never going to believe that you can have better if you're never able to have this simulation where you can experience the other side of the token. Someone can tell you all day long, love is coming, you can manifest whatever you want. But if you've never been put in the position, okay, especially after dealing with authority figures that have abused their power through religion, it distorted the relationship with God. And a lot of them were uprooted from their natural habitats and put into exhibits. And those exhibits look like church houses. And zip codes and area codes. And now that there is this the desire to reconnect, I feel like it is taking the perspectives of higher beings, a higher intelligence, in order to give an optical illusion. Like, hey, listen, I gave you downloads and visions of a life or an opportunity to be able to experience something different because you don't have no connection with your ancestors. So yes, you had to go to spirit beings. Yes, you had to go to angelic beings. Yes, you had to go to all over, those aliens. You hear that? I love aliens. Okay. Did y'all ever used to watch X-Files when you were younger? My mom was definitely on that. So there's a rehabilitation process. So yeah, your ancestors may be saying, I do not support this. I do not agree. Y'all not supposed to be together. But listen, you're doing it, but I feel like you are getting a lot of assistance from angelic beings. You're getting a lot of assistance from Nephilims that are assessing the situation, and you are doing something that's never been done before, like bringing about a new perspective, even when it comes down to things as simple as loving the same sex. These are the things of that pushes evolution, and it forces it to see something different in multiple ways. But if humanity, or the evolution of humanity, is so in opposition, it can be a war. It can create a war. And I feel like that's what the Syrians are here saying, is that your family may say hurtful things. Your ancestry, you may not feel like they're responding to you at your altars and things like that, but they are there, and you are welcome to connect with them if you feel guided to and you feel safe to do so. There is space for you in this infinite universe, and they do care, and they do want to help you, and they do want to provide for you, and that you are not alone. But understanding that sometimes in these type of peculiar situations, you will feel like a deep sense of loneliness during these times of transition, when you are incarnated in a time where you're not accepted. So I definitely want to hold space for that, because you do deserve true love, but true love is going to be experienced the most within you, and you giving yourself the opportunity to experience that true love from within, you bring a new branch. Okay, you give birth to a branch without trauma. You give birth to a branch or a tree that isn't plagued by perpetual cycles of being stubborn and hard-headed. And when you reincarnate, you'll have an even different story or experience in the multiverse, or the multi-universe. So never feel like you have no place or you do not belong. For those of you that are feeling like that, there are definitely angelic beings stepping in, and they're saying that is not the only layer. Okay, so I want to show you a ladder. Okay, and if I was to describe this ladder, they're calling me to draw. I have a little bookie here. Just let me grab it. And on this ladder, it's going to be levels of evolution. Okay, it's all going to make sense in a minute. Okay, so let's think of this as a ladder of ascension. Okay, y'all see all my chicken scratch? I be studying. I know. Okay, let's see. Oh Lord. Okay, here we go. So let's draw a ladder right quick, okay? I'm so excited. Like, the teacher is coming out of me right now, okay? They're showing me a ladder. They're telling me to calm down, okay? So I'm just a little excited. So let's think of this as ground zero, right? This is humans. This is the ascension ladder. So essentially the ascension ladder, okay? Above that is ancestors, okay? They are the closest to us. All right. Not all of our ancestors support our decisions. Sometimes we break certain contracts that we may have made in the spirit realm, and they don't like that too much, but that's okay. You have star beings, let's say sky beings, that are here to assist you, Taurus. And then you have this next layer. We're gonna call this spirit guides. Okay. All right, you're following me? And then right above that, we're gonna say angelic beings. Okay. And then there's another one. Then we can say star beings. And now, these are levels of assistance: ascension, assistance, evolution, evolving, descending, ascending. So let's call this third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. And then there's even more, but we're just going to stop there. And then we're going to call this the source, right? Returning back to source, consciousness, all right, federation, council, whatever you want to call it. On this level, things are very dense, okay? Our level of perception is very real because we can feel, okay? We can feel everything. But the feelings of pain, the seven undesirable experiences of pain, grief, all right, what else are there? Fear. So there's a lot of different spirits, okay? We're going to call those spirits because each one embodies its own entity. It has its own assignment. Now, when those experiences manifest into our reality, a lot of times the very real experience of that simulation will cause us to perceive in a very real way. But as far as these star beings, for them, there's a balance, all right? So the Federation is a very harmonious energy, right? The balance of the cosmos is bigger than just the child you bore, the person you married, and the reality you're experiencing. There's multiple timelines happening at the same time that are intertwined into atoms and cells and breaking down even further, and it's bursting, right? And just as quickly as they begin, those timelines also obliterate into never being experienced before. So from the perspective of that ascension, the higher that you go, there is less attachment to this human experience, right? But when we go through this realm, and the blockages that come up typically are a direct reflection of the real experience we just got out of or had to experience, and it helps shape us, right? And throughout the human experience, we collect clusters of memory, and it's usually through the form of water. That element itself is the easiest to penetrate your feelings, okay? But just like feelings flow, okay, and it's a stream, is streamlined into whatever direction you want it to go in, it's also the realm that is also used to manipulate it back into homeostasis. So when we manipulate the water back into homeostasis, think of it like shifting the current, okay? Going in one trajectory, sailing towards one track mind, one level of focus, and being unable to see all other facets. The only way to really allow us to see those other facets is to bring in people that look like you, very real like you, and experiences very real like you, creating a hub. Okay, so let's say now you go from being one singular experience to the people that came with you. They can agree that that last experience was extremely hard. It almost broke you. Goddamn, it almost killed you, and so forth. Now, just because I'm describing it from a very matter of fact type of perspective, it doesn't negate that it was painful, that it was very real, and that it was one of the things that shaped and molded your reality. Now, here's why it's so important, because just like everything else on your dimension, it is important that you are aware that every time you have an imprint, think of it like putting oil into water. They do not mix. You cannot take it will not dissolve in water. So these imprints of trauma, okay, these imprints of excessive trauma, okay, or whatever those experiences are, when it is too much, it becomes like your heart is too heavy. So you keep incarnating trying to get it right, but your heart has been weighed down too many lifetimes. So the objective is to give you enough experiences that creates a positive conduit versus a negative conduit. If we can give you more experiences that allow you to perceive another perspective, then from there, you're able to reincarnate with less baggage. The more you're able to reincarnate with less baggage, the more you're able to keep ascending, essentially. However, one of the difficult things is two can play the game, okay? So now we have this game where it's not just you anymore. It's your social group, your social environment. And sometimes you and the souls of your clusters will make an agreement. Like, let's say this is you. You have this soul over here that's playing player 1, player 2, player 3. A lot of these different clusters that are in your soul pod or your soul group, if they never get to have the experience with you necessary to help shift your perspective from a negative into a positive, it delays your evolution. Now, because time is very linear to you on this dimension, when it comes to being able to perceive this from a cyclical perspective that's shooting out at all times in different directions, I have to break it down to you from this perspective. Think of it like a whirlpool, okay, that's going in all different directions, forwards and backwards and around, and then extending that into a lotus flower. That lotus flower is now connected in so many different ways. So if you as the human being can experience the circulation flowing through your body, it, in a lot of ways, for your understanding, the same circulation that's existing within your blood vessels, your brain, the synapses moving in between each and multiplying to create new and repairing itself, is the same concept from the universe, okay, or the multiverse, whatever you want to call it. So shifting from a very linear perspective into, let's say right up in here, in between here, right? Just a tad bit. It looks like 3.5. Okay, 3.5, almost 4. You're able to see from an ancestor's perspective, in your current human perspective, you're able to see why your parents did what they did, what their purpose was, why they got to have certain experiences, right? And then now you're able to become a guide. And here's why I'm telling you this, because even before you pass away, this process is still happening. Think about your journey when you were at 0, right? And you had that human, very dense experience with your parents between the ages of, I don't know, birth to 18, when you were able to get from underneath them. At some point on your journey, usually between the age of 30 and 40, 29 is when it kind of starts. That's the way we created it. But from here, humans and ancestors will have the opportunity to go back and you will be able to see the world through your parents' eyes, your grandparents' eyes. Those that are still living will be able to pardon. Okay, this is the moment where you're both allowed to pardon each other for your prior experiences. Okay, this is also supposed to be a duality experience where your ancestors will be able to find peace, right? Your parents will be able to find peace and release grief, right? Because grief is a very heavy spirit to hold on to, right? But they would be able to release grief. They would be able to release a lot of different regret, right? As parents, they feel those emotions and they are intended to release them. They do require your assistance, though, as the children, right, of your parents. This is where between the ages of 30 and 40, where you get to sit with your parents and your parents' parents and really understand that they didn't have all the answers themselves, and they were also going through changes themselves, and you're able to process things from a higher perspective. You are always receiving the assistance of your spirit guides that will give you the comfort that you need, even though you feel alone. So now you have reconciled with your parents, and your parents, you have been able to evolve, and now your inner child feels like it's a teenager, and your inner child is ready to be that teenager that finally listens to their spirit guides. Where here you are now guiding others, and in this space you're guiding others because you were able to experience through forgiveness of your parents the other side of trauma, which is healing, growth, expansion, a perspective shift. That perspective shift is probably meant to happen between the ages of 40 and 50, right? You really get it by then. And what happens when you become a guide here on earth, you're helping others see, yeah, I held on to that resentment to my mom. They passed away and it didn't serve me no difference. I thought I would feel better when they died, but I didn't feel any better. And you're able to transition that wisdom, right? During this age as well, a lot of people may flock to you where psychically it's intended for them to feel drawn to you because you feel wise to them. And usually it will be the inner child of such said adults or actual children that will flock to you, which when we send little children to flock to you between the ages of 50 and 60, it's usually because 40, 50, and 60, we'll give you all three. It's usually because we're trying to encourage the inner children of the adults that are still struggling with that perspective shift to gravitate to more wise levels of intellect. And when that happens, it allows us to connect directly with them from someone that's more accepting and open to receive these messages. Now, moving forward, you will start to see what I call the descend of an ascend in the human experience. This normally happens between 60 and 70. Roughly between 50, there's a lot of changes going on, and you're giving back into humanity from a perspective of, I have nothing else to hold on to. I'm ready to review my life. So during this 60s, the 50s, 60s, and mainly 50s and 60s, you're going through a review. Okay, so we will review with you as guides all of the different experiences throughout your level of evolution here in the human experience. When you reach this review phase of your life, it is a very calm, angelic experience. And a lot of times, this is the phase where they consider this the crone, right? You spend more time alone again. And in this space, you have a choice as well of evolution. You can either find ways to gracefully transition into this familiar energy, okay? Because remember, you have to return back to that form of the spirit realm, which means you have to start back at that space of becoming comfortable with being alone again. This is why usually between 70s and 80s, you'll often experience what I would consider a transition period to reconcile with being alone. This is um a very resourceful phase because you help us, all right, spirit star beings, right? You help us download these memories, okay? You help us when you're sitting in quiet solitude a lot by yourself. You help us document. You help us see the world through your lens. So a lot of times you will experience, or you may experience it, symptoms from this download and upload and process. A great way that could describe this to you, let's say this would be considered the AWA, right? This is where you would download a lot of your experiences, and this happens in solitude, and this happens in quiet time, where you are able to be more in your mind and less relied on by other people because of your age. So you'll start to notice certain experiences where maybe nobody wants to come around as much because they're saying, oh, you're a lot slower, you don't really have, you can't keep up, or everyone's running the streets, you're just not down here with the younger generation anymore. So this evolution process is also reflected in the ascension process each lifetime from human to source consciousness. So when you reach the eight is when you return back to that spirit realm, and the cycle repeats itself, thus determining if you are to continue having another human experience, because we can have multiple human experiences if it's required. You would meet us in the council and you would ask from there, what you were meant to learn this lifetime. What did you come there? What was your purpose? And this is where you get your final grade. Okay, this is the grade that you as the soul wanted to evolve or experience in the human experience. And at that moment, we decide and together with the team of people that you assigned to your soul before incarnating. Did you meet your marks? Did you reach your milestones? Were you able to forgive? Were you able to achieve certain ascension processes? And we never judge. We always allow you to come back and do whatever it is you feel that you need to do when you enroll. Okay? Incarnate, enroll, whatever you call it. In this process, a very important thing happens, because this is also AP classes, right? And when we talk about AP classes, we are speaking directly to humans that will stay in the spirit realm for a period of cycles, okay? In your time, it may be months. For them, it may be in cycles of years, centuries, and you may feel as if, well, they just died, but time moves a lot differently in the spirit realm. Keep that in mind. The cycles that you might experience where you've incarnated or you decided to stay longer in the spirit realm and be as an ancestor to your friend from one of your pods that may be struggling with a similar issue that you were not able to conquer, and you would spend time in the ancestry realm or spirit guide realm to be able to learn and assist through that learning experience in the spirit realm what it's like through the lens of Sally. Let's call this one Sally. And Sally will be describing to you what she had to go through in order to, you'll be going through the emotions with her. You will be assisting her in the spirit realm transition, let's say through grief. Maybe you weren't able to release the grief or the resentment, and spinning those cycles in the spirit realm, helping Sally see that it's okay to let go of the grief. It's okay to mourn. It's okay to process those feelings. That cycle allows you, it's like extra credit, right? Because you've done a really great thing. It's all about you being able to have an experience of expression of an experience that allows it to be channeled or downloaded or uploaded, however you want to call it, back into source consciousness as a successful level up ascension process. And there's some people out there that really likes to turn it up a notch. But I digress. When we get to here, when we're talking about spirit guides, it does take a lot of incarnations, plenty of incarnations, to really be in this realm of master teacher, okay? To be in this realm of master teacher, to be in this realm of working with, of really, being an angel, okay? At this level, this is, we're not going to get into that, but it gets very, very big. So when you ask, why are you here? Sally may be here to master the energy of grief. Jim over here in this same pod, this same cluster of experiences, or soul tribe, what we would call, may be here to master forgiveness. You yourself may be here to master self-love. No matter what you're here to master or learn, okay, self-mastery is always the initial reason, but in the grand scheme of things, returning back to source consciousness through death, right? Interesting, that 8 Scorpio. Okay, so returning back to Pluto, we can see here that it's still about the download or the upload of memories through the water. Okay, which is why when you reincarnate, all of your Akashic information, all of your memories is accessible to you. It's always going to be inside of you. The accessibility, that experience you feel when your body vibrates, that's that 5th element, that 5th wisdom dimension, where all of your downloaded information is stored and got as a guide for you. You'll start to experience certain things like your hair standing up on your body and you just have this tingling sensation across your body. What your experience is the sensation of the water that encompasses your body, sending you a direct message from your subconscious. In that subconscious mind, right? We have the brain. In that cerebral consciousness, there are certain receptors that allow you to connect to your subconscious mind. And when you do that, you are accessing your higher self, which also houses under the umbrella your Akashic information, your records, your previous lives, and things like that. Does that mean that I am encouraging you? Well, why does it even matter to do this? Why does it even matter to have a human experience? Why do I even care about these roles? Well, a part of you, if you do not have the real experience of the simulation, you will not acquire the true expression, right? So let's give you an example that you can comprehend. A video game mimics the same process of why it's so fundamental. One of the big things that happen when playing a video game on these devices is that it mimics your subconscious brain, okay? As it's mimicking your subconscious brain, certain things are happening to your subconscious brain that stimulates it in a way where you will actually believe, perceive, and feel as if you literally had that experience. It's that artificial intelligence, but it's also the simulation that is stimulating your brain, that is allowing you to interpret it as being very real. No different than 3D or any type of virtual reality simulation. Now, one of the downfalls to this method, which is something that scientists have been trying to research and discover for a while here, is how can we offer to humanity the ability to connect into surrogates and receive all of the expressions through these experiences without ever having to actually experience the pain of it. If they can achieve that, then you can ascend. And essentially, it sounds great in theory, but there's one cult to push that narrative, all right, or allow that narrative to stick. And that's because of something called Tiamat, Mother Earth, Beloved, many names that she goes by. There is a great debt here. And one of these things is her children. Okay. Now, her children are the expressions of a lot. It is not just the human race. It is also a living thing. Okay. It is also multiple expressions of existence occurring at once. One of the major things about this relationship with this planet is that it is a requirement to maintain that relationship that you water Tiamat. Okay, so in the event, let's talk hypothetically, okay, that you have taken away Tiamat's children. Her children, use your wildest imagination. But if you have taken away her relationship with her children, well, what does every mother do when you take their children away from them? They begin a descending process, a grieving process. And now we can't allow that to happen because it creates a very distorted balance, okay, in the cosmos. And the balance that becomes distorted is one that cannot be easily fixed. So we have come to facilitate a very fair exchange of evolution in the ascension, right? Because we are in the middle of an ascension process. This ascension process essentially is necessary because Tiamat is not feeling loved. Okay, let's put that there. Tiamat is not feeling loved, not feeling honored. And like I said, the procreation of Tiamat is through cycles. Okay, is through cycles. If I could describe this as a heart, okay, think of this being like a heart. It's through love, it's through the relationship, the companionship. It is a source. Okay, this is a heart. Number 6, the lovers. What you give, you receive. So on this planet, if you are going to incarnate on this planet, it needs love. She needs love. Okay, let me give you an example you can comprehend. If you are to walk on grass outside with your bare feet, you will notice that the grass will more than likely, if not less or at all, when you're walking with your bare feet, there is an experience that happens where the grass will not deteriorate, correct? So the grass will not dry up, deteriorate, burn out, or whatever. You know that saying when your parents say, don't walk on the grass before you eat up my grass? There is a eating process, like a cavity in a tooth, an eating process that occurs when you continue to put rubber soil on Tiamat. Wherever you step, eventually over time, it will take time, but that is where we are here to manage. You step on that ground with your rubber soles because you're so human, right? What happens to Tiamat? A lot of the energy underneath your feet will start to burn away and turn brown. Can you get it back green again where it's good enough to eat? Absolutely. But you will have to refrain from walking on it, disturbing it, and letting it grow through its normal cycle, right? Because this is a cycle on this realm. So in honor of the planet, this is the relationship that's been encoded in Tiamat's children. Tiamat's children are not experiencing that relationship. If you have taken them and made them addicted to stimulation alone, okay, they do not know how to build. They will not know how to feed themselves. They will not know how to cultivate anything. They will not know agriculture. They will not know how to read, write. They will not know how to connect with their mother. And essentially, in the natural disintegration of any evolution, when a mother is unable to connect with her children, the child will die and wither away, and so will the mother. So in preserving a very sacred relationship that has been taken away from the mother and put into little boxes of ticky-tacky, little boxes of institutions of religion and in doctrines that has drawn you away from your natural order of things and into your houses and disconnected you. Now with this next level of spiritual evolution, you're being reminded of this relationship, and it's very important that this process is not disturbed, especially with you being Taurus energy. Okay, you are very special to mother. You have a very special relationship as Taurus placements. This is why you have been chosen as the second house, is because it is up to you to remember your mother. One of the experiences that many Tauruses will go through is emotions of abandonment. These are the feelings of Tiamat. Okay, the daughters of water, your sister signs, Yemaya, multiple expressions of this, is reminders, relics of deities, expressions of this relationship. When you see a sweater, you do not question if the sweater is meant to keep you warm because it has been imprinted on you. No different than the process of this relationship. You have been imprinted on, and since you have been imprinted on, the wolf and the imprinted will always find each other. It's important that her cubs find their way home in the evolution of this process. But here's where it gets very tricky, because if technology is able to sell you a dream that pushes you even further from being just houses and ticky-tackies, and religion is here to push a certain agenda or a narrative that pushes you away from mother, then she will start to destroy the whole entire planet and start over. She will go into survival mode. She will survive by any means necessary in the event that even her children no longer desire love, the relationship of that expression of love. So with these different factions of initiatives, foreigners to your relationship, you know who you are, the children of Tiamat. This is very important for this reason. So when you make your selections and your choices, understand that a lot is weighing in the balance of your decision to preserve the earth and all that encompasses it. Without the earth, what use is a relationship? What use is a romantic relationship without the entire planet to experience it on? And if the controllers that have created the game simulation, let's talk about this for a second. Hypothetically speaking, in a microwave society that is already moving at a rapid rate towards nothingness, continues to go down this simulated reality, it will create something of escapism. This version of escapism no longer honors the spiritual realm, the relationship that happens, the natural selection that happens when Tiamat chose to experience her children or herself in this way. When she chose to experience herself within this form, it was a choice, and through that choice, certain things were ingrained, designed, and intended to continue going in the same cycle of progress. Now, in this simulation, if you continue to go in this particular direction and separating yourself from that relationship, one of the major things that happens in that process is, I've always wanted to draw that plus sign. One of the major things that happen in the game simulation is you will no longer have your feet on the ground. You will be sitting there holding a lot of plastic and rubber and wires and blue light that doesn't allow you to have the experience with Tiamat. There's a lot of information and downloads that putting your feet without rubber soles on the ground is intended to give you. That relationship that you have is unlike any other species. Okay. And it's very important that you give that to yourself, so that you can maintain the balance with your mother. Is there anything else that I've left out? No, I think I pretty much got it all. So in this simulation, be aware that in this next level of the game, or in this next version of evolution, the game is going to get harder. The tricks are going to get slyer and slicker. There's no need to use religion anymore. There's no need to just use physical establishments anymore. Now they have access to your brain, the mystery, your intuition, your inner knowing, your access. Okay? For the preservation of self, this will deteriorate your vessel faster. This will deteriorate your relationship with mother faster. And this will deteriorate everything that was honored in the creation of yourselves. Because again, I am my mother and my mother is me. So this is the saying or the riddle that remains true. Okay. So this is what I have for you guys. I hope that helps.